Welcome to Venture with Joe and Cody, where we take a deep dive into the minds of leaders and innovators making a real impact today. I'm Joe.
And I'm Cody. And we're here to bring you the raw stories, the successes, and the setbacks that these trailblazers have experienced in their journey to where they are today.
Every week, we sit down with a new guest who's ready to share their insight and advice on business, entrepreneurship, and making a difference in their community. From local community members to industry experts, you're going to get the unfiltered truth behind their success.
So whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur, a seasoned professional, or just curious about the business world, join us for a journey of learning and inspiration.
So let's grab a drink, settle in, and let's get started. This is Venture with Joe and Cody. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Venture with Joe and Cody. I'm Joe Skipper, the owner of Skipper Realty Group, brokered by eXp Realty out of the Portland metro area. I'm with my buddy, Cody Wilhelm, with Residential Mortgage up in Washington. Hello, Cody.
Howdy.
Hey, we have an awesome guest on today, Jesse Grover with Summit View Softwash. Jesse's got a cool story of not only kind of the history and the things that he's done, but also what he's doing currently. And we're going to be able to dive into kind of, hopefully some of maybe the struggles that he's been in or some of the things that he has seen and witnessed in the business side of things, and kind of maybe give us some advice, especially for maybe new entrepreneurs or new people kind of thinking about getting into business and don't even know where to start. I think Jesse's going to give us some great experience and advice on kind of what he's been through, what he's going through, the successes he's had, and maybe some of the failures, and we can kind of walk through his journey with him, and then maybe get some questions answered on that. So welcome, Jesse. Welcome to the show.
Cool. Well, thanks for having me.
Yeah. So I read, like we were just talking about a little bit about your bio. Awesome history of you and what you're currently doing. So I'm just going to let you take it away from there. Tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of where you came from and kind of where you're at now, and kind of give us that journey of how you got to where you are.
Cool. Well, so I've been kind of born, raised in the Portland metro, Pacific Northwest area. I'm currently married, father of 3, so definitely a loud, crazy house, lots of stuff going on. I don't know about you, Joe, but I know Cody can relate to that.
Yes, I can for sure.
Cool. So, life's good. Life's busy. It's hectic and stuff. And things are going well. So I now own a pressure washing, soft wash, external cleaning company, and it's been good. I think the business has been in business for like 2 years. I've been involved for 4, maybe 6 months now, and the current owner of that.
Awesome. So what history do you have? Like, how did you get to, it's not necessarily a unique field to be in the soft wash business, but how did you decide that, hey, I'm going to go this route versus, coffee shop or whatever else it might be?
Yeah. So you're kind of right where like cleaning, I'm now a contractor basically, and it's definitely physical labor. But so there is a lower barrier of entry. So there's definitely a lot of people, you can buy a cheap, easy pressure washer or some type of system from Home Depot, and you could just start door knocking and making some money. So that's kind of real appealing for a lot of other people and other groups and other stuff that are involved or that I'm involved with, and like all those types of Facebook groups and other stuff like that. There's a lot of young kids and a lot of people that are just doing that. There's all the stories of literally like people putting a pressure washer on a wagon, and a 14-year-old going door to door and like cleaning driveways, and that's how he got started. So, but it kind of fell in my lap. I was actually hanging out last summer with a friend of mine, and he was the current owner. And I was just trying to connect with him, and I was going to start like networking and trying to send clients and business and stuff to him, because I just like to support other small businesses and, just be that resource for other people. Like, oh, I know a guy. I always love to know a guy. And, but then when I talked to him, he was like, oh, actually it was like his kind of side gig, and he got a promotion at his job, and the business was just going to like die out. And he was like, so if you ever need a trailer with a awesome setup, like, let me know if you want to clean your house. And so I called him up the next day, and I was like, well, what are you doing with it? Because I want to buy it. And so literally like that, following week we got some paperwork in place and I ended up buying the whole business, the equipment and everything. So it kind of just fell in my lap. I saw an opportunity of the work that nobody wants to do. And, you can make some money in the stuff that nobody wants to do.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's so sorry, Cody. I just
No, go ahead.
was that I guess like when I first saw Summit View Softwash, I was, you automatically when people think of that as you go to a car wash. Like, so can you explain a little bit? Is it a car wash or is this what's your business specifically designed for?
Gotcha. So Softwash is kind of like a insider term. I use my Softwash system more than my pressure washer. Softwash we're using a smaller pump, so it's not pressure. It's real comparable to like a garden hose, really. So, but we're actually mixing chemicals in with the water and stuff. So I actually have a mixture setup pump and can treat and kill a lot of things. So this is an external cleaning company. So I can do, like gutter cleanings, roof moss treatments is really big. That's kind of what the Softwash system specializes in. House cleanings, window washing, driveways, concrete, sidewalks. For commercial, we can do like drive-throughs, dumpster pads, windows for restaurants and stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity because a lot of stuff is dirty. And we can take care of that. And then up here in the Northwest, a lot of stuff's wet, a lot of stuff is mossy. There's just a lot of organic growth on almost every surface out there. So we can kill and clean all that.
Yeah. So you took over a business, and now running it on your own and everything, and having some time to kind of get everything going. I know you had some success with doing Christmas lights and everything. Mm-hmm. What have you seen so far that has been a struggle that maybe you didn't anticipate when you first took it over? Because obviously there's a lot of excitement when you take it over, and then you kind of get everything going. What has been one thing or maybe a couple things that you've ran into as far as just owning a business now like this, that maybe wasn't something that you were expecting initially?
So I guess weather affecting what I can do and being kind of a victim to weather, I didn't fully anticipate. So it being the end of January, like I haven't really done anything. And we had a big snow and ice storm. Like I didn't do any actual work that week. And then this week has also been really slow just because of the amount of rain we're having. So like I'm not going to be doing roof washes during this because it's too wet. Like I can take some other precautions and be safer up on roofs, but just the laying stuff down and doing a proper job of laying the chemical and doing things in the amount of rain we're getting right now, it's just like you might as well just wait, a month or so and then do that. So it's about like offering multiple services, and then you can do other services when other types of weather is kind of affecting you. So that's like gutter cleanings, are really big right now because you can do that in the rain. Like the rain is the problem. They need to be clean because the rain is, the water's backing up. Sure. So that's an issue, just battling weather. Like I always didn't really care about weather until this business. I was like, it just,
you have a business,
you look out the window. It is what it is.
Yeah.
Like,
who cares?
It doesn't matter. But now it's like I'm actually paying attention to weather apps and, trying to figure out when I can do stuff and when I can't and schedule those out accordingly. And then just owning a business, you just have so many hats, you're just like, it's just kind of like, what do I need to do today to try and move the needle, And so trying to figure out what and where is best to spend the energy, and then what's best to just kind of push that to next week or push that, once you get these things in line.
So sure. And I was, talking about your history and stuff. You've just been in all sorts, like you've had your hand in a lot of different things and a lot of different experiences. You are a brewer, or are you still a brewer? Or is that a term that's used when you're hired, or are you like certified brewer? I don't know how that works.
Yeah. You can get a certification. So you can go to trainings, you can do stuff. So you can go that route, or you can go the route of like on job training,
Okay.
and that's kind of what I did. So I was a brewer, I've brewed for 4 or 5 years professionally, home brewed a lot. That's kind of how a lot of people get
Yeah.
their start. You just kind of home brew and you get, I don't know, you just get excited. You're making a lot
for
of
sure.
crappy beer
No,
at home and
it's
fun.
well, it's more fascinating than people think. I think a buddy of mine's in the wine industry, and it's just when he talks about the intricacies of that sort, you just grab a drink and you just drink it thinking it tastes good or not. But
Yeah.
there's just so much is chemically and science, involved in that sort of thing. So it's kind of fascinating. But you are a fellow real estate agent, have been for 5 years. You run the Softwash. How do you balance, like, what does your day look like? How are you balancing that sort of thing? Are you focusing on one, or are you do you have a system in place to kind of work on multiple things, or how do you do that? Just for people that are looking to kind of most people in the real estate business they start out part-time, because they're like, I need money. So I think it'd be insightful to see how you kind of balance your days and your time.
Yeah. So that's still one thing I'm working on, and trying to be better. I think everybody's trying to be better about how their day looks and what's going on with it. I do write down like at least 2 or 3 tasks like I want to complete this day. But a lot of times it's like I'll switch and kind of work one day on one business and then the next day on the next business. Like, or else I'm just like, you're, I don't know, you're trying to, you're trying to balance all that. And it's like your brain works with like 30 tabs open like a computer,
Yep.
and you're not really focused on one
Start getting
tab.
bogged down.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so it's like, I'll literally just like close those notebooks and that stuff for my real estate and just kind of push that off to the side, and then, but if a client calls me and other stuff, you kind of have to jump at it. But, but I'm a little more focused on the Softwash right now. I have a goal of getting my first full-time hire, and supporting him this year. And I really want to kind of focus and try to remove myself from like operator and just be the business owner of this, and do things a little more strategic than I'm not trying to talk down on other businesses, but a lot of businesses are just like, it's just a hustle. You're just out there running and just trying to make money. I would love to just have some setups and some things in place, and then be able to support other people, and then be that business owner for the Softwash. And I could always then revert more focus back on more days to real estate or whatever other thing that is.
Yeah, it's a great advice, because I think a lot of, as you know, in real estate, it can be just a hustle to people. And I think when you create a business, you really have to take it as a business and treat it, especially within the customer service realm. I think we can get into that mode of how many people can we cycle through to make X amount of money versus like, how do we treat our clients the appropriate way to not only make money, but to treat them in the way that they're supposed to be treated in the business that we're in. And so it's good to hear that from you, because I think a lot of people do, especially in the real estate realm, get in this, okay, times are good, I'm going to go get a sign, I'm going to post it on all my friends, like I'm going to make a lot of money because I'm a real estate agent, and the rates are at 2%. Probably the same with lending, Cody, to a certain extent. Is like, you can, everyone sees those dollar signs and doesn't treat it the appropriate way. So it's good advice to be like, sounds like you're like, treat this like a business, treat this and your clients like a business, and have systems in place, rather than that guy that is just trying to make that quick buck and move on. So
So you obviously have your hands full with a lot of stuff when you're not working either job. Obviously you've got family too. What do you like to do outside? Like when you do find some free time in the day, what do you like to do for fun?
So I have always loved sports. So either watching them, sometimes during football season, it's hard to just spend a whole day watching football. Like I don't do that, but watching big games and stuff, or basketball is my favorite sport. But I've played it a lot more in the past. And that's one thing that I do. One of my goals this year is to like get back into playing basketball, just pick up games once a week or so, just doing stuff like that, hanging out. Like I love board games. I don't know, just puzzles, things like that. It's always fun.
Yeah. Isn't it funny how when you have a family, you have kids and everything, your hobbies slowly kind of
Hmm.
come back into home base where it's like, okay, what can I do that's fun that can involve the kids and the family and
Yeah.
everything, and puzzles, board games,
Yeah.
playing in the yard and
Yeah.
For
Yeah, we
sure.
play like Monopoly, and Sorry's a big game in our house. We play Sorry
okay.
a lot.
Yeah, we have Sorry, and we have like I like the old school versions of these games because the new
Hmm.
games are just trash. Just the
Mhm.
pieces, everything, and so we have
Yeah.
this old Sorry, but the deck is so worn out that like when you just fold it, it's like everything's bending in half. Like, but Sorry is a great one, especially when you have
Oh
kids
man,
and they
our
just
Sorry game
love.
is the exact same way. It's the
Oh yeah,
cards are literally all bent in half, and
oh
I
yeah.
think I've taped the board back together like 2 or 3 times. So I think you
Another
could
one
like bend it both ways, to put
for
it
sure,
away.
for sure.
It's
No,
real
I
messed up, but
another
it's
one
it's
that bothers.
great.
The other one that bothers me is Risk. The new Risk.
Hmm.
I
Mm.
loved Risk. The old characters, the old, but now it's like so you can get these cheap ones that are just like these little plastic, they're all
Yeah.
plastic, but they don't have any definition in the characters and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was really upset when I bought the latest Risk and I didn't see that, but or I saw how
Yeah.
poorly they were made. Come on, get your plastic
Yeah.
pieces better.
Right.
But Jess, when you started all this, it sounds like everyone else that gets in these industries is like you just kind of get into them. I wanted to ask you: was there any piece of advice that you wish that you had before you got into any of your businesses?
Hmm.
Is there anything you wish you had, or is it? Most of the time we just fall in. And so generally
Yeah.
we do have some things like, I wish I would have had that advice or something. Is there anything that you can kind of give us now that, or anyone watching or listening that, could help them in the future? Any advice that you have?
To get into any sort of business whenever you're working for yourself, it's more mental than anything, and I feel like you really need to believe in yourself and like talk yourself up, because I feel like everybody is really their own worst enemy and you're your hardest critic. And so my biggest thing is just take imperfect action, like fail forward. And I think if you do that, you don't get, because perfection is such a it's procrastination. Like perfection is procrastination. Like just to do something is 80% better than the person who's thinking about doing it.
Mhm.
So yeah, you do just fall into businesses, or you fall into a career or whatever. But like if you just keep trying to do something each day and not trying to perfect it, but just get it done, like you're going to be leaps and bounds better than everybody else, because time goes by fast. So like after a month of doing whatever thing, a couple times a week, or whether that's every day or whatever, like you're going to all of a sudden, it's that compounding effect of like making calls. You start with making 2 calls a day, then move
For
to
sure.
5, then do this, and you just get better and better at it, and you make more and more, and then all of a sudden, like you're busier than you ever thought.
For sure. That's funny. Cody and I were just talking about that with the podcast and social media and all this stuff. And all of this stuff can be, everything's intimidating, to dive into something. And,
Yeah.
and a common theme from people that do it and people that are successful at whatever they do is do it. Just do it.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect, and it doesn't have to be good. You'll find that as time goes on, you'll look back and say that was crappy, but now look where I'm at now.
Yeah.
Versus
Yeah.
scenario, the perfect everything before I make a move. And that's like, I think the hardest thing, especially in our real estate field, that everyone wants it to be perfect, especially in the social media game. It's like, I've got to look the best. Oh, I just messed up that word. Oh, I didn't say this right, or I didn't do this, or look at my face, or look at my, and it's like, they freeze, and then they end up not doing it, end up not succeeding, and then wonder why they failed. And I'm not doing it to harp on people, but it's just like, it's a great point. You have to, in any business, you have to do it. Fail forward, mess up, be like, that didn't work.
Yeah.
Let's move on, because it's a long-term game in a lot of our stuff. There's no get rich quick scheme, in anything that we do. And it's like having that kind of mindset to like, hey, next week it'll be better. This will be better this week or whatever.
Yeah. And I think that like what you talked about too, like make 2 calls a day this week, and then next week make 3 calls a day, because sometimes that is just the hardest thing, is convincing yourself that you can do it. And then you finally start to do it and realize, oh, I can do this. Or the rejection that I get, it's really not that bad. It's not like people are mean to you. It's just you don't get the answer that you want. All right, well, now that I'm okay with that, now I can try this again. And just the consistency, I feel like anybody that has done something successfully will just tell you that it's just do it and just continue to do it. And you might look like you have it all together and you think that you have no clue on what you're doing, but you talk to somebody else that's successful and they're like, I'm still just trying to figure it out. But from our perspective, it looks like they've got everything figured out, and their advertising is great and all these different things. And it's just, sometimes I think it's just the doing it that is 3/4 of the battle.
It's like that.
Oh, there we go.
What is it, like Thomas Edison or whatever said, like it took him like 900 ways, like 900 tries to make a light bulb. So he succeeded once. So he like found 900 ways or 899 ways how to not make a light bulb. It's, but if he stopped at 5, we would never be where we're at today.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So Jesse, like with the soft wash industry, who do you see as your, I guess, top, do you have a lot of competition? Is it a highly competitive market?
There is, a decent amount of, competing businesses and stuff, but there's business out there for everybody. There is a local business that is pretty big. We're kind of we're actually like Vancouver houses one of like the bigger soft wash businesses in the area, or like in the nation or whatever. That's just really, like, they have a really big success story, I should say, and they're doing really well. So there is competition out there. And then also like what I talked about, where it can be a low barrier entry industry. So there is a lot of just overflow of people, hustling and out there just making some money. And there's always the problem with these types of industries, whether it's construction, plumbing, electrical, anything, I'm just in cleaning, but there's always somebody out there that's willing to do it for cheaper. And then there's always the customers out there that think it should be done cheaper.
Yeah.
So that's a big, kind of uphill battle. Is like the big joke is like there's the $99 guy like that does all the cleanings. Like he'll clean anything for $99, and but if you're doing that and you have gas, you have insurance, you got this, you got that, you have chemicals, all this stuff. I'm like, I don't even know how he's making money. He's busy, but I don't even know how he's actually making money. And then is that actually like a good service and a good, it's just undercutting the entire industry. And then everybody's suffering when stuff like that happens.
Yeah. Same with real estate. Like it's, you can, when you get that low of commission splits or whatever it is, you've got to sacrifice something. And generally it's, we need numbers. So now it's a volume, it's quantity over quality. And so, yes, you can get the cheap route, but are you going to get the service and the quality that you got? And probably the same with your industry. It's like, that guy probably has to pump through 18 times more homes than you do because he has to do that to break even. But what are you getting for your client? And I guess in my experience, and maybe it's the same with you guys, is like those people that kind of devalue the work that you do, generally probably not someone you want to work with, I think.
No.
They want the cheap guy. And they'll get along with the cheap guy because like that's what they want. That's what they are okay with. Well, they generally are not okay with it. They have a high standard, but they want a low
exactly.
cost.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
But I think I don't know if it's the same with you, Jesse, and you, Cody. Is like the people that have devalued my work and wanted the commission cut and those sort of things. The majority of them have been a struggle more than they're worth. Yeah, like of that, And I don't know if that's the same with you, Jesse, in not only real estate, but in the soft wash world, if that's the same that you see with people that devalue what you do in the soft wash world, especially thinking that, oh, you're just, you're outside of my house cleaning my house. Why do I have to pay you X, Y, Z? Do you see that?
Definitely. I feel like the people that understand that there is an expense and that this is a quality service, when I give them my bid and I'm like, I'm going to be doing this scope of work. And when they don't even bat an eye, they're like, okay, like those have been the best people to work for. Yep. But the people who fight and then I make sacrifices and I'm like, okay, do I need to fill my calendar? Will I, help that out? And then I always try, I'm like, okay, I can do it for cheaper, but I need a good Google review. You know, I need a mention on like Nextdoor. I need you to tell some like, if I'm going to be giving you something, you need to be giving me something. Like then there's going to be more exchange. But even then, those people, like, they just, like, because there was a line that they could overstep and they could grab more, they just keep grabbing more and more, and they're never, like what you said, they're never fully satisfied.
Yeah.
Their expectations are all up here, and their pocket is not where their expectations are. And then, you know, like, I am more of a people pleaser. You know, I do come from a, you know, customer service background, so I am willing to help people and willing to work with people. But then it's just always hard leaving that job site when I feel like I'm not as satisfied and I got taken advantage of. Not that I'm trying to take advantage of them, but I'm trying to provide a service, and I'm trying to do a really good job. So it can be challenging that with those types of customers.
Yeah, oh, go ahead.
Oh, and I was just gonna say, and like my whole thing, like my whole, I guess, mantra or business about what I do is, like, I always try to do one extra thing. So like, if I'm up there cleaning the gutters and brightening the gutters and doing this, it's like, I'm also going to try and like knock down some cobwebs under the eaves, or like, you know, if I'm doing the driveway, I'm going to go over here and like the little, like the concrete pad by the AC unit and by the side garage door, like I'll also treat and kill that, but I don't include that in the scope. I just like try to do one extra thing to, like, I always try to make the house look better than it was when I got there. Like, that's my job, but it's like, what can I do extra to make that even better?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So when you have the business dilemmas, the bigger things, do you have somebody like a mentor of sorts, or who do you like to go to kind of get that support and encouragement, or maybe offer advice for ways to get your business to the next level, or work through different situations? Do you have somebody in your life that you like to go to for that?
So yeah, I'm part of a like pressure washing community. So it's all across the nation, a bunch of other, you know, similar business, you know, owners and stuff. And so we're on like weekly calls with each other. Like, you know, there's the whole you know, education program of all that stuff. And so it's definitely more of like a blueprint to like kind of follow these steps, do these actions, you know, and then there's a, you know, insider Facebook group, and we can like, hey, I've never done stucco, like, because we just don't have really stucco in the Northwest, you know, like, can I clean that the same as vinyl siding? Like, you know, and then they're like, oh, try this chemical, do this, you know, or like cleaning pavers with sand, you know, in between, rather than like mortar, you know, like all these different types of services require just like a little change in the trick and the way you're going to be doing things. So, yeah. Or just like, how do I get more clients? How do I run this ad? How do I do that? You know, it's a really good community to kind of like bounce off each other, you know, and the guy there's a couple guys running it, you know, and they've been in business for 5+ years or so. So it's really cool.
Nice. It's amazing what groups on Facebook can provide for stuff like that, you know, where there is a wealth of knowledge, because you get some people in there they're just happy to help and support you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's so cool about those groups is they're like across the nation or the world, you know, so like they'll give you all the stuff they want because they're not directly competing in your market. So they're like, I don't take the knowledge, take my tricks, take this, like it helps you, and it doesn't take away from me and my business. So
that's what I was just going to say, is like, it's with that national or international, even like groups, you can kind of, you know, tap into each other, and they're not worried about telling you that information. And, you know, historically you had to go to the local guy or the local gal like down the road, and you know, it was 50-50 on whether they're going to tell you anything, because they don't want they're not going to give you their secrets. But that leads me though, like, is there anything, do you think technology is going to impact your specific field anytime in the future? And if so, like, what is that? Like, what is it going to be if so, or do you think it's not going to affect anything?
There's always new technology when it comes to equipment. whether it's new pumps, new plastics, new this, that. I do think that I can see it now as just kind of the world we're in this more, meta, this more online technology world. I actually think it's more beneficial to be in an old school trade in this modern world, than ever before, because more and more and more people don't want to do these things. Like gutter cleaning is pretty easy. But people don't trust themselves getting up on ladders, like or anymore. Like the more and more people are online, like they just aren't willing to do those physical tasks anymore. Absolutely. And they don't trust them, or they think they're crazy complicated or just hard work, and so I do think that it's kind of like future protected. Like there's no digital way to do this work. So the more people who are in that space, I feel like there's going to be more opportunity for me, because they're just not going to be doing it themselves.
Yeah, I agree. I think the more that we get kind of stuck, like you said, even with the weather, it's like the more you get indoors, the less likely you are to go outdoors and do that stuff. You're like, no, I'm good. And so you're in a field. Like, it's funny. My nephew is in the same. He does a detail shop and a car wash and those sort of things, and it's the same sort of thing. You're providing value to people that increasingly don't want to do it, and it's really just hard work and willing to do it. Unfortunately for our society, we're getting lazier and lazier, but for a business standpoint, it actually works. So
and I think they're almost like overvaluing sometimes those tasks, like the car detailing and stuff. Like I looked into that one time to get my car detailed, and I saw the price. I was like, I'll
do it. Yeah. Well, a lot of people like to just pull up. They like to pull up, leave it, and pick it up clean. So and they're willing to pay that price for it. So it's
or there's even like mobile car washers now. Like you don't even have to move your car. I think you just unlock it and they come in and do everything and then leave. You don't even go anywhere.
Well, Jesse, before we let you go, I just wanted to ask, like, if someone's getting into your field, and maybe even if we want to broaden it out a little bit, getting into the business world, like what single piece of advice do you think would help them kind of get started on the right foot, whether that be your soft wash or business in general?
Just advice. I guess advice just in any business, whether you're starting something or buying a business, is I feel like you need to know what you don't know, and you need to know your limits, and try to surround yourself or get somebody that is good in that area, and like pay that. Like if you're in business and expecting people to pay you for your services, like try to use other businesses, whether that's a CPA or, a website developer, whatever that is. Like, don't try to do everything, because then you're not focusing on what your business is. You're trying to do other people's businesses. And so I'd say just try to stay in your lane in a good way, just know your own limits.
Yeah, that's really smart. I think it's easy to get into the it's my business, so I'm going to do everything with it, and it just it can take away from the actual product that you're trying to put out by trying to be the jack of all trades. And it's, I think Cody's the same. Is like as you grow in any industry, you start to realize, okay, I'm spending a lot of time on Canva doing X, Y, Z. Maybe I need to give someone else that job, or
and it doesn't even turn out all that great. So you spend 6 hours
frustrated
doing
for 3 hours, and then you're like, well, that was stupid. Like,
But you should have paid $30 to some guy on Fiverr and just have him do it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, Jesse, thank you so much. If people want to use your company, can you tell us a little bit about kind of where they need to go to, phone number, website, whatever you want to pitch to people to kind of get, and just let us know also kind of what areas you work, just so people can know that when they reach out to you.
Yeah. So, if you're ever looking for anything external cleaning, gutter cleaning, or you got some moss treatments on roofs, exterior, just house washes, window washes, any types of stuff, like we can definitely change everything and make it look better than it ever was. 360-606-6571. My website is sw.com, and you can go on there and get a lot of information and contact me on there as well.
Sounds good. Well, thanks,
Awesome.
Jesse. It's been awesome having you on. It's been a lot of good information. I hope people can take it in and kind of, if you need any advice on the business realm, just feel free to, I'm sure Jesse would be down to call you or talk to you and give you some advice on that. And then if you need any of that Softwash stuff, give him a ring. But thank you again, Jesse. And we'll chat with you soon.
Cool.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you jumping on
Thanks,
here.
Jesse.
Yeah.
See ya.